check out this awesome new Power Box DIY deluxe kit from Untitled Power. Head over to untitled.com to check it out for yourself. It's a great value, and you get to build it yourself. It's super easy. Also, if you haven't seen it yet, the Blue Box kit, also from Untitled Power, allows you to customize your blue box for your Vexlar or any other ice fishing electronics equipment. And if you haven't yet, feel free to check out the build on how to build this Blue Box kit on my channel. I'll leave a link in the description. And at the time of this film, there's just a few days left for you to win this very box yourself. So make sure you head over there, check that out, and enter to win it. It's going to be given away here in less than a week, Halloween 2019. So head over there and check that out. Let's see how to build this box here for your very self right now. What's up YouTube? John, JDS Outdoors, coming at you with another Power Box build. This is another one from Untitled Power. This is called the Deluxe DIY kit. This kit is great because it allows more people to put their own little spin on building their own Power Box. But you don't need as many tools as you do if you were to just purchase a regular Power Box kit and drill all the holes and do it yourself. This is a pre-drilled box, so that is pretty cool. All you need is the wiring and some connectors, and you can find most, if not all of that, at your local Walmart or your auto parts store. So this will open up the door to building a Power Box for a lot more people. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what comes in the kit direct from Untitled Power. Starts off very, very nice packaging. And there we have the pre-drilled box. Very nice. The edges are already all cleaned up for you. So this is literally just put all your pieces in, wire it up, and you're on the road real quick. Let's open up the box. Once again, everything's packaged extremely nice. Inside here, looks like we have our glow cup. As always, awesome quality. Another bag full of goodies. Now it looks like there's some foam in the bottom here. Pretty nicely cut to the bottom of the box. I would recommend keeping that in there as an impact and insulation layer for your batteries. Now this kit does not come with the batteries, but there is an option on the website so you can order the batteries. Nice set of lithium batteries to keep this box light if you wish. It comes with your USB, your 12-volt outlet, and your voltmeter. Your LED lights for the front with a spare set of LED lights, because sometimes if you over tighten these, you can pull the wires out. It's kind of weird, but these are quality lights, and every once in a while you get a hit or miss in manufacturing, so you got backup in case you break one. Comes with your inline fuse, a handful of switches, and I do believe you can pick the colors that you want. Banana jacks. And as always, you gotta have some awesome stickers so you can represent some quality products. So let's go ahead and start assembling this box. There's really not a whole heck of a lot to it. Everything's pretty well laid out and where stuff is supposed to go. So that is what we're going to do. Let's start off by setting this stuff aside and going over the tools that you're going to need in order to do this project. You're going to need some connectors. You're going to need some split ring, or some ring connectors, and an assortment of different gauge spade terminals, or spade connectors. Everything else can be done with your everyday average wire stripper, a Phillips screwdriver, and this is a 5/16 nut driver. You can also use a wrench. You're also going to need some wire. I like to use 16 gauge because this stuff doesn't draw too much power. If you plan on running some heavier power stuff on your box, then make sure you use the appropriate size wire for your needs. To aid in my process, I'm going to use a different set of wire stripper, a crimper, and this thing called a flush cut. So that's just to help me. You don't need it. Everything can be done with right there. So super easy. Let's start off by getting all the goodies installed into the box. I'm going to start off by installing the glow cup. I love these glow cups. Awesome awesome idea he had there with those. Super good quality, nice and bright. Go ahead and get this screwed in. Next, I'm going to throw in all of my switches, and they just clip into place just like this. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and unthread the nuts off of the banana jacks so we can get those installed. Then holding those in place, we'll open this up and put on our lock washer, regular washer, and one nut. And we'll repeat this process for all four of them. Remember, just snug them. Don't get them wrenched on there tight. It's not a tire on a car. You're just going into some plastic. Okay. So now you can use this plate if you want to. Helps to keep it clean. Or you can take the each individual piece out and install it in there. It depends on the look that you're going for. Myself, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to install it with the plate on there just because it gives it a lot cleaner look. So to accomplish that, we're going to go on the back side, pull off all three nuts. And then we're holding our hand on the bottom so they don't fall out. We're going to come on the inside and apply all three nuts. Also, keep it in mind, just snug it up. It doesn't need to be wrenched on super tight. Now we're going to move to the front of the box where your two pre-drilled holes are for your LED lights. Go ahead and remove the rubber band and then the nuts. Now we're going to feed the wire through the hole. And then back in the box we go. Now this one you don't have to really hold tight because they're not going to fall out because of gravity like the other stuff will. But you will have to stick your finger on the back side when you put the nuts on just to hold it in place. Go ahead and get those snug, not too tight so you don't pull them apart. Repeat this step with the other one. And sometimes you get a little bit of excess glue on the threads. It makes starting the nut a little more challenging. So just take your time so you don't cross thread it. All of the stuff installed, now it's time to wire it up. Having the pre-drilled holes in this box sure made this extremely easy. Saves a lot of time and hassle, and you need a lot less tools to accomplish this. Let's go ahead and look at the top to see how we want everything to be wired up. So this middle switch here, we're going to set up as our master switch. This is going to turn on power to everything, and also your voltmeter, your 12 volt outlet, and your dual USB. So as soon as this master switch is flipped, then all of this will be energized. This switch right here, we're going to set up to run the glow cup. This switch here, we're going to set up to turn on the LEDs in the front. And each of these corresponding switches will send power to your banana jack so you can run 12 volt accessories. Now we're also going to wire this one up a little bit different. I want to be able to charge my batteries off of these banana jacks, but I don't want to have all of this running and draining the power at the same time while these are on. So we're going to wire these separately from the master switch. So whether the master switch is on or off, these will work. So when you want to charge your battery, you hook your battery charger up to either one of these banana jacks, you flip the switch, and then you'll have power charging your battery. Or vice versa. If you want to run an accessory like a 12 volt LED light strip, this is one of my originals, super old, you can hook your power up to the banana jacks, or your alligator clips rather, turn the switch on, and you'll have power whether this is on or off. So it'll help to save power if you don't need to use any of these accessories, and it'll also help in aiding in charging your battery. So let's go ahead and wire this up just how I had explained it. So we'll have the inline fuse coming from the battery out, and then we're going to tee it off. We're going to have two leads coming out directly to the banana jacks, and then one coming out directly to the switch, the master switch. And then our power out is going to go to each one of these, and then also to the power in on these two switches. So then our accessories can run once these switches are flipped, but these two switches are isolated so you can run with the master switch on or off. So if that makes sense, follow along and we'll get this wired up. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're just going to place our battery. I'm just, for sake of this video, going to use a sealed lead acid 12 amp hour. It's heavy. I highly recommend going with a lithium. If you're more on a budget, these sealed lead acids work great as well. You just have to deal with the weight. So we're going to set that in the furthest position away from everything. That way we make sure we have enough wiring to complete this project. So we want to go from the positive without hooking it up yet. We're going to hook it up last. This is just to get the correct wire length. Hook the positive up, and it brings us to approximately right here. So we're going to set a T up going here and here. Well, actually that's the ground. So the power in is the middle and the power out is the bottom. Your brass colored on the switch is your ground. So if you see you got a little brass one there, ground, your power in, and your power out to your accessories. So to accomplish this, we're going to get us a couple short lengths of wire here. I'm just going to run a little bit of wire just like that. I'm going to cut this, and then I'm going to cut it in half, and that's going to give us our T. You definitely want to have these run through the fuse just to be safe, so you're not frying your batteries in case something happens. And then we need another length of wire that goes to the middle of your master switch. We'll do it approximately right there. Go ahead and strip the wires on both ends on all of these items. Okay. So we want to crimp that together. On that side. And it doesn't really matter which side you go to. I just believe this is going to hook around better doing it this way. We're going to use a butt splice connector, so you will need to have access to one of those. Butt splice connector. Splice that in. Give it the pull test. You always want to give a pull test just to make sure you didn't miss a strand and it pulls out. Just like that. Now this one's a heat shrink, so I'm just going to go ahead and shrink that down real quick. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and add our spade connectors to the ends of these wires. You want to add one to here and one to each of these. Okay, now that we have that crimped together, we can go ahead and put it into our power in on the two banana jacks and the power in on our master. Just like that. So now we want to run power out to our banana jacks. Now you want to look at the orientation that you have your positive and negatives in. So on this one it's on the top on both, which means our positive's here and our positive is there. So we want to go from our positive here to our positive there and so on over there. Make a little jumper wire that goes from here over to there. Just kind of eyeballing, measuring. Now keep in mind there's many different ways you can wire it up. You do not have to do it this way. You can have everything run through the master. It's completely customizable. This is just a guide for you to follow if you wish on one way to wire this box up. So now we're going to go ahead and add our ends to our jumper wire. See, I almost made a critical mistake. I went to go put spade connectors on both ends. Well, it doesn't work on the banana jacks. You have to use a ring terminal on one end. So we'll go ahead and remove that and grab a ring terminal. To add on for the banana jack. Just like that. We're going to go ahead and install this on our power out. Put the ring terminal over the banana jack post. Install a lock washer, a regular washer, and a nut. And then tightening it with your 5/16 nut driver or wrench. Just like that. We're going to repeat the process on the other side. Once you have this side done, we can go ahead and start wiring in the rest of our items. Next step is to go from our power out on our master switch to the 12-volt outlet, our voltmeter, and our dual USB. And then also have the power out going over to the power in on our switch for our glow cup and the power in for the switch on our LEDs. So let's go ahead and do that next. To simplify this process, I'm going to use a larger spade connector going from the power out, and then just have a wire that goes one over here, one here, and one here, and then a fourth one that goes over here with a jumper wire that goes from the power in to the power in on that switch. So you need 4 wires cut. So we need one that goes there. We can go ahead and cut that. And then we're going to strip the ends on both sides. A little helpful hint: if you're going to tie a bunch of wires together, have one side that's a little longer than the other. The shorter side you're going to put your single spade connector on, and the longer side will help so you can twist the wires together and stick it in your larger spade connector. So to keep track of all of these items, I'm going to go ahead and install it on each one of the terminals right off the bat. And repeat this step until they're all done. Now stop here for a second. Once you get to this point where you're going to have your wire going from here to here, set that aside and cut your jumper wire from this one to this one. And we're going to go ahead and attach these two together. And then add a single spade terminal to the end of this one. Then go ahead and install it in their corresponding locations, which in this case is the power in. It's the middle. Now there's other types of connectors you can use for this too if you want to have your wiring a little bit cleaner. They make these angle ones. I know these are the ones that Icewell Power uses when they build their boxes. They're super nice. They're real easy to help keep wires clean and whatnot, but they're a little bit more difficult to find than your regular ones. Can't find these at most hardware stores and stuff. So I'm doing this to show with common, easier to find pieces. But if you want to have cleaner wires or wiring, go ahead and find them right-angled ones, and it'll clean it up a lot better. So now the next step is we're going to join all 4 of these wires together as one with our larger spade terminal. See, that's why I always do the pull test, just to be safe. That one felt to me when I crimped it down like it wasn't a very good crimp. A lot better. Still do the pull test. Passes. Alright, so now we have the positive power from the battery and the master switch wired to all of our accessories. So the next step is going to be wiring the positive from our accessories to the switches, and then also running all the grounds. So to do that, we're going to take our glow cup wires and we're going to separate them to the point that we have just enough loose wire so nothing really gets snagged, but also not too much extra to where it's going to be in the way. And we're going to cut off the excess. Now stripping this wire back and installing a single spade connector, is the next step to hooking it up. Little helpful hint when you get to these smaller wires like this, separate it kind of long, or strip it back kind of long, so you can twist it together and fold it over. It gives you a little more meat to grab onto for your spade connectors. And still give the pull test just to make sure, and we're nice and snug. Alright, so now we got the positive coming from the positive out on the switch, hooked up to our glow cup. Now we're going to go ahead and wire in our LED lights. We're going to find the correct length of wire to go here. Give us a little bit extra, and we're going to strip it back. So we're going to go ahead, twist those two together. This is some pretty fine gauge wire here. We'll go ahead and twist it and bend it over. It'll give us a little more meat to grab onto. And crimp it in place. All right. Now we have all of our positives hooked up. So now let's work backwards from the furthest point towards the battery with our grounds. So we're going to make jumper wires with the grounds going from here to here, 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 and so on. So starting in the furthest point would be our glow cup ground. You need to strip back a little bit of that wire. And then take some of your regular black wire here, and we're going to make a jumper that goes from here to that switch to this switch. So now this wire itself is pretty small. You're not adding much volume or mass. So we can go ahead and get away with using one of our smaller spade connectors. Crimp that on. And hook that right up to the ground. So now this one's going to have a few more wires going into it. So we're going to need a little bit of a bigger spade connector, which isn't a big deal. We need a jumper that goes from here to there. We're going to go ahead and take all three of these. Twist them together. Okay, now that we got that one connected, going over to here, we need to make a jumper that goes from here over to here. So go ahead and measure it out. Install your spade connector and clip it in place. Now, just to save a little bit of time, we're going to go ahead and make this one into a T, going from our voltmeter over to our master switch and over to our 12-volt outlet. So we'll go ahead and make a jumper wire that goes from there to there, and a jumper wire that goes from here over to there. Go ahead, get these stripped back, and install your connectors. After you have that installed, go from this banana jack over to that switch real quick with the jumper wire, and over here. Alright, now we're going to make the negatives kind of do the same thing the positive does right here. So we can isolate the banana jacks to have the most cleanest flowing current we can have. So we're going to make a jumper wire that comes from here, connecting this there. Have a jumper wire that comes up to the middle like this. And also going to make a jumper wire that connects this here over to there. So that is going to be accomplished by just getting the length of wire and measuring it. So it's kind of similar to that in length, and strip it back. Okay, once you get to this point here, we need another length of wire that is the same exact length as our inline fuse here. So go ahead and measure that out. And you can give a little bit extra for some fudge room if you want. You can always take some away, but you can never add it. We're going to strip this back. And we're going to add another connector like this. Now I ran out of this size, so I'm going to use one size up. Not a big deal, just as long as you have enough room to get all of the wires in there together. Go ahead and twist them up. Crimp down and it passes the pull test. This one's also a heat shrink, so I'm going to go ahead and shrink that down. Now that that's shrunk down, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean these wires up real quick with the aid of some zip ties and my flush cut tool. It's amazing the difference just a couple of zip ties can make. Not nearly as pretty as if you buy a pre-built box from Ice Power. Their wiring is second to none. So, but this is not half bad for DIY. Next step is we're going to go ahead and strip the ends on our battery cables and install our connectors so we can connect the battery for the first time. Alright, now we can go ahead and throw our negative on the negative terminal and our positive on the positive terminal. Now, depending on your usage and what you want to use this for, you have to use the appropriate size wires for your plans and also the appropriate size fuse. Me personally, I plan to run the LED lights, charge a couple phones, and also run some homemade LED light strips. None of those things draw a bunch of power. So I'm going to put a pretty low amp fuse in. I'm going to put a 5 amp fuse in. But if you need to run higher amperage items, adjust your wire size to the appropriate size for your needs and also your fuse. You don't want to have too big of a fuse in here because you'll never trip it if something happens. And you don't want to have too small of a fuse because you'll always trip it. But for me, a 5 amp in this application should work just fine. Okay, so let's go ahead, now that the battery's hooked up, let's do our first systems check and see if everything works. So our master switch turns on, and it appears that we have a bunch of items on. So our master switch is on, we got 13 volts in our battery, that's good. Our USB is lit up, and our 12 volt outlet, I don't have an item to stick in there for right now, but you can use a cell phone charger or something along those lines to test that out if you wish. We got our glow cup, it's lit up, looks awesome. And then we have our LED lights on the front. These are great because it acts as a flashlight. When you're walking out, say ice fishing, you carry this box with you and it lights up your path. Or you can set it on a picnic table when you're breaking down camp while you're camping. Power goes out during a storm, middle of summer. You can set it on your kitchen table and light up your living room or your kitchen, depending if you have an open layout or not. Tons of uses, more than just ice fishing. Camping, hunting, fishing, survival, emergencies, all kinds of stuff. So now we're going to do one final test. I want to see if these banana jacks work with the power off, the master power off. So we're going to go ahead and hook this up. Master power's off, switch on. We got power. Let's check the other one. Once again, got power. Awesome. So what that means, just like I said in the beginning of the video, is with the way these are wired, you can hook your battery charger up directly to this, never have to open the box. You flip the switch and you're charging. You do not have to have your master switch on in order to charge. That's a very nice perk. You do not have to wire it this way. Just like I said earlier, this is a guide, an example. There's many ways to make the wiring a lot cleaner if you wish. This is just an easy explanation that many, many, many people can do with very minimal tools. So, as always, if you've found this video helpful, please feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you want some more future content. I have a lot of exciting videos coming up. So, that's about it. Awesome. Good job Ice Hole Power. Yet another great innovation to help people get their hands on some simple electronics. So, as always, thank you for watching JDS Outdoors.